this is how to sow and grow greens. And by greens, I mean your choys, your Asian greens, your chard and your spinach. Now, although some of these plants are quite different, they're all sown in the same way and perform a similar role within our garden. These are brilliant plants to grow. They're very productive, fairly easy and pretty fast to grow, and also they're a brilliant gap filler in winter because they're all pretty cold hardy, and therefore they're brilliant for putting into gaps where you've taken out summer crops. Now bear in mind, you can grow these through summer. It's just that because they prefer a cooler environment, you run the risk of them bolting in summer, so you might find that you have a lower success rate. Now, because the seed of most of these is relatively small and you want to be probably growing quite a few plants, the best method to use is the pricking out method. Now I'm going to start them in a tray, and I'm just going to make a little groove down the tray of compost. Now these don't need to be sown terribly deep, so your groove is only going to be less than the depth of the first knuckle of your finger. And then I'm just going to sprinkle the seed down the groove. Now you don't need to worry about it being too thin because we're going to prick it out. If you want to understand a bit more about the pricking out method and see what it is in a bit more detail, check out our separate video which will clear that up for you. And then I'm just going to lightly cover that seed. And in this tray, I've probably got enough room to do rows of 3, maybe 4 more crops. So you can get a lot of different crops in a very small area to start them off, and that's the benefit of this method. Now once your seedlings are up, you can carefully separate them out and plant them up into individual module trays to grow on until they're ready to be planted outside. Now these plants, like I said, they like the cold, so you don't need to worry about supplementing any extra heat with these. They'll be fine out in the greenhouse. They don't need any extra heat in order to germinate and grow on. And you can continue growing them on in the greenhouse until they're ready to plant out in their final position. Now, most of these crops are really very cold tolerant. Some of them will even tolerate snow and frost. But if you live in a very cold area, one that really experiences very hard frosts, you may want to consider a little bit of extra protection in the form of perhaps a cloth or a little bit of fleece on outside grown crops. And then when it comes time to harvest your crops, remember that if you don't take the whole head, if you just take the leaves that you need for that particular dish, then you're going to get a longer harvest period out of these plants. So if you want to have a go at growing really interesting, broad range of greens, check out our seed range on shegrowsveg.com.